welcome back to the Sesh. It has been a minute.
It has
since
been a
we've
minute.
seen you guys.
Welcome back.
By the way, I'm Kendall.
And I'm Janelle.
And this is Charlie.
This is Charlie. Yeah, it's been like 2 weeks since we filmed an episode, which is the longest I've ever gone without filming the Sesh. So
it's been
it felt
a long
weird.
time for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I was out of town and Josh filled in.
Yep. You guys really liked having Josh on too. That was some good
Yep.
times.
Good times.
It was.
And
it was
then
very fun.
Karelly was out of town. She just came back from California. So that's why we were off last week too. We've just been having some scheduling challenges.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure that we can get everything out. And so we had to take a week off.
It was quiet without you guys here. Like first Janelle was gone and then Karelly was gone. The office was pretty quiet. Sydney, did you get lonely here?
Yeah, it was a little too quiet.
Yeah.
Too quiet. But we're back, motherfucker.
Yeah, now we have our fire signs back.
We're back.
It's much louder
Got
here.
him. Yeah, much louder. Speaking of which, we just literally spent 30 minutes killing these stupid moths that were trying to attack our faces.
Yeah, we've had a major moth. It seems like every summer, the last couple of summers, there's just been tons
It's
of
been
moths.
really bad the last few summers, I feel like.
more than usual. But yeah, it's been like an infestation here in the office.
And
Suckers
I
are
cannot freaking podcast with fucking nasty moths around me. I'm sorry, but I hate moths.
You've
I
got
hate
moth
bugs.
trauma.
Hate moths with a passion. Okay, you know how it all started?
Me.
I'll tell you.
My fault.
No, actually. Well, that was bad.
There's
but
another one.
Shut up.
There's another one right
Sydney's
now.
fucking bailed out of her chill. Ew!
Sydney's literally gone.
It literally was like right over your head.
If I wasn't pregnant, I would take care of them all.
No, it wasn't in your
I
hair.
didn't wash my hair. No, if it was because of that, it'd be coming towards me. But anyways, no, my real moth fear, I've always hated them, but then it really started because one time my dad told me this story
Oh God.
that when he was a little boy, he was eating a Snickers bar. And he took a bite of the Snickers bar and he felt something fluttering around in his mouth. So he spit it out and it was a fucking moth that got stuck to the caramel on the Snickers bar and he put it in his mouth.
Ew.
Oh, that's sick.
And he told me that, and ever since I was like, fuck that. Disgusting.
About 2 months ago, I was peeing in the dark and then I felt one in my pants. It flew in my underwear and was flying around in my pants. I know. And I was like, ugh, it freaked me out so bad.
It's the fluttering that really gets to you.
Especially when you're in the dark and you don't know what it is. Scared the shit out of me, man. Literally.
Well, I was going to say, conveniently, you're on the toilet.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, disgusting. There's been times where I've been sleeping and then I'll have my phone will be the only light on in the room. And then all of a sudden it'll just flutter around my phone, on my face.
Yep.
They're disgusting. I hate that.
I also have a little story because I used to be scared of moths for such a long time. I feel like I more recently, in the last few years, gotten over my fear of moths. But for me, it started when I was young. I was probably 5 years old. We one of our friends, or one of my parents' friends, told me that if the dust from the moth got in your eyes, it would make you blind.
That is so fucked up. Why would they tell you
I don't know. I remember so vividly. We had this this lamp that had all these beads coming down.
Oh yeah.
And
they love that.
They loved it. The moth was flying around the little beads and it was moving the beads around. And I thought it was really fun to look at. So I got underneath the lamp and was looking at it really close with my eyes, I guess. And that's when he's like, be careful because if you get the dust in your eye, you'll go blind.
Oh my God.
Damn, that's brutal.
I'm gonna say some shit like that to my kid.
Yeah. I mean, it worked. I didn't fuck with moths for a long
Disgusting.
time.
That's so funny. Yeah, when we were kids, we used to go to our grandparents' house and they had tons of moths and I used to lead Janelle around the house.
Moth
and
hunting.
Yeah. And you'd actually be scared. I was enjoying it.
No, I'm terrified. I hate them. They're disgusting. I hate them. But if they're in my house, I can't do anything else until it's gone. And no, I'm not about to trap it and let it free. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm not going to do it. Anyways, moving on from that. I hate moths and I want them dead. Sorry. It's just the way of life.
Okay.
Janelle's on the food pyramid. Moths are on the bottom.
Yeah. Well, you just said you believe in reincarnation, so we're helping them get to their next life. Maybe they'll be a
That's kind of
butterfly.
how I see it, scooting along.
Get on with yourselves. Anyways,
It's pretty miserable being a moth.
This episode is not all about moths, though, today, people.
Yeah.
We are actually going to be discussing what has been going on recently in this country, particularly with Roe v. Wade being overturned.
Yes. And in the past, we've like always said that we like to keep this show very lighthearted and fun. We want this to be a place where you can escape from what's going on in the world. But things have been so bad lately that we feel like, especially when it comes to human rights and female rights, women's rights, that we feel a responsibility and a need to talk about it. So yeah, to us, this really isn't even political. This is really a human rights issue.
No, it shouldn't be political. It's literally fucking human rights. Yeah. Like, I don't know how else to describe it other than half this population in this country has less rights than the other half, which is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Pretty shocking.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Everything that has happened. So we're going to get into that today, talk about our feelings. We're going to talk about a bunch of different things related to Roe versus Wade and the recent overturning of Roe versus Wade. And we also wanted to start by letting you guys know that we have come up with a new charity merch design, and all proceeds will be donated to National Network of Abortion Funds. And
NAF.
Yes.
And yeah, we decided to do this like really last minute after we got the news that it was overturned. We decided to go ahead and pull together a design. Sydney worked really hard with our designer to make this really cute design. We'll put it up on the screen. It'll be in a t-shirt. And yeah, like Kendall said, all of the proceeds will be donated to that organization, which if you're not familiar with National Network of Abortion Funds, I'm going to read a few things that they have on their website, kind of telling you who they are and what they do. So basically, their mission says the National Network of Abortion Funds builds power with members to remove financial and logistical barriers to abortion access by centering people who have abortions and organizing at the intersections of racial, economic, and reproductive justice. And their vision is that we envision a world where every reproductive decision, including abortion, takes place in thriving communities that are safe, peaceful, and affordable. We envision a world where all people have the power and resources to care for and affirm their bodies, identities, and health for themselves and their families in all areas of their lives. And as we shift the conversation about abortion, it will become a real option accessible without shame or judgment, which is a huge part of it. But what's really cool about this organization in particular, when we were trying to figure out who we wanted to donate to, is the fact that this center works with over 90 local abortion funds throughout the country. So when you're donating to them, you're really helping tons of different ones from all over the country. Right. And these funds provide financial assistance, travel, lodging, and many other types of support for people seeking abortion. So, like we said, all of the money that we make will be going towards that. And the link will be below. You can order them now, but it's going to be kind of like a
back order.
Yeah, kind of like a back order. So we don't have any stock, essentially. It's going to be order from now until, what will the end? Do we know the end?
Do you want to kind of explain how this?
Yeah, so as soon as this video goes up, then they will be available to purchase. But it's almost, like a back order or pre-order, however you want to like look at it. But the actual item won't ship out until August 5th. And then it will just be transit time.
And how long do people have to place their order before that specific bunch gets processed and shipped?
We're going to do 2 weeks the first time. So I'll make sure that all the information is available.
And then it'll likely be from the 7th of July to the 21st.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you want one, be sure to order. But yeah, like we said, just give us a few weeks. Your patience is appreciated because we have to kind of figure out how many you guys order and then print them and then ship them.
It's a whole different process doing this this way. But we feel it's necessary. And I know so many of you want a way to give back and also a way to represent. I know a lot of people are going out and protesting right now. So this is a great option for something to wear there.
Yeah, it's a really, really cute design. I like it a lot. It's the female symbol made of flowers. If you guys are listening and don't see it on the screen, definitely check it out. And also, if for some reason you guys just want to donate right away or something like that, there's a bug above me. If you guys just want to donate right away to the National Network of Abortion Funds, I'll have that link below as well. And you can go on there. And like I said, even on their website, it says that your donation will be split between like 90 different funds, and you can actually go on their website and look at the whole list if you're curious of like who's on there, who they work with. There's a whole list on there. So we figured we needed to do something. We have a platform, and you know, Kendall uses her platform on her YouTube channel to raise so much money for NECMEC and Her Justice and like, you know, Thorn, all these different types of organizations, and we wanted to do the same here for those who need reproductive help.
We have the ability, and so therefore we feel like we have the responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we also feel like we have the responsibility to have this episode today, as difficult as it may be. And I know that this could be somewhat triggering to some of you out there. It could be harder to listen to. And, you know, in that case, there's no pressure to listen. We're here next week as well. Because we are going to be going through some stories that could be kind of upsetting to people. But they're important to hear, you know, cases where people have needed abortion for healthcare or for their lifestyle, and, you know, how important it was for them to have that option and that freedom.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing I wanted to mention too, especially like with you being pregnant, you're just, you know, by the time this thing goes up, not long from popping out
very
little baby.
Very soon.
But there's so much conversation of like, well, you're pregnant or you're a mom. Like, how could you be pro-choice?
Oh, yeah. There will be people who harass me specifically because of that.
You can just not do that.
Suck it.
Yeah, you can literally. I mean,
I have heard it all over the past few weeks. I do not care. I'm not going to read your bullshit. I've heard the same old argument over and over again. You're not going to say anything that's going to change my mind or shame me or make me feel like I shouldn't believe in choice for the rest of the women in this country because I have made the decision to have a baby.
Right.
It's really irrelevant to the conversation. And it's honestly just so inappropriate to bring my child into the conversation at all.
100%. Yeah.
And that really, you know, we're going to be monitoring comments to some degree because I know that there will be some that are just wildly inappropriate. It's one thing to disagree and leave a constructive comment.
Yeah.
But if you go too far, we're going to remove you because it's upsetting to other people who are here. We want this to be a safe place for them. And yeah, I'm just kind of sick of the same old argument.
Yeah. And one thing I'd like to know is, and I think Kendall can agree that we're very much so like, we can agree to disagree on a lot of things in life. And, you know, having differing opinions is fine. But for me personally, when it comes to human rights, like there are certain things where I'm not able to just agree to disagree on, which is women's rights, people of color's rights, people who are disabled rights, LGBTQ rights, human rights. Like there is no, just agree to disagree, in my opinion. So I just want to put that out there that both her and I are aggressively pro-choice, and there's no hiding that fact. So if this is not the episode that you want to listen to, that's totally fine. You can hop off. We'll be back tomorrow or next week.
Right. That's how it is. You got to keep it straight here. You know?
There are many people in both of our lives that we know who have had abortions, that we love who have had abortions, and who are here today because they had an abortion. So,
and there's probably someone that you know. I mean, I think pretty much all of us, whether you know about it or not, you know someone who's had an abortion, most likely.
So, anyways,
it's been pretty wild watching this unfold. This is something I never thought I would see. We are going on nearly 50 years since Roe versus Wade was passed. And to see it, you know, in its 49th year be overturned is absolutely shocking. I mean, we're talking 1973, right? I just really never thought this would happen. Even when the information was leaked recently that it could, I just didn't want to believe it. I'm like, there's just no way that we are going to have a constitutional right revoked from us for the first time in U.S. history. And it sure was.
And before you say like, it's not in the Constitution, it's part of the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment has to do with right to privacy. This is stripping your privacy. HIPAA is no longer a thing. So don't even fucking come at us with that. So I'm like, it's really not a time to like play with me. I am so pissed off right now that like, I just cannot handle the bullshit arguments anymore.
I feel the same way. And I'm like trying to keep my blood pressure down because that has been an issue for me lately. But This is so beyond infuriating and just upsetting, depressing. I know so many women, so many of you out there, people in general, feel angry, scared,
devastated, shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when 8 out of 10 people support the right to choose.
Yeah.
It's just like, how can these 6 people make this decision for everybody in this country?
Yeah.
It's disgusting. And I'm just so devastated. Like, I remember my mom and I talk about politics and stuff all the time. And like years ago, she was like, you know, this will never, like, they'll never overturn this.
Right.
This is like the law of the land. That'll never happen, you know. And the fact that it happened right before our eyes is shocking. The fact that your daughter is going to, and it makes me like want to throw up saying this, but is going to have less rights than you and your mom did growing up.
Yep. I know. I never thought I would see this, especially right before having a daughter. It's just been so incredibly upsetting. I know so many people out there right now are just feeling so like lost and confused and wondering like how much worse are things going to get, right? I know we all see this Supreme Court right now and are having some of the same questions. Like, how can it be that these unelected representation are making these huge changes for all of us? And that, I mean, the fact that they don't even have term limits is just,
it's fucking
mind-blowing. 'Cause
absurd.
it's like, yeah.
And then,
how do
like
we even
you
deal
said,
with this?
it's the president that's putting them in. It's not like, why is America not voting for these people? We vote for like a million other things.
Yep. I mean, the system is like incredibly broken, in my opinion. I think the Supreme Court needs to be expanded.
Same. I agree.
I don't understand how this can be. I don't understand it. And they are looking at a bunch of different things right now. And rights are on the line for so many people.
Yeah, this is just the start in a lot of ways, I think.
Women, Native Americans, LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people right now are really scared to be in this country and to feel like, what do we do? How do we do anything? I hate, I'm being very open right now, but I really hate this feeling that I feel hopeless.
Same.
And I hate saying that because I want to be a source of motivation. And maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe there's more hope to be had. And there probably is.
Doesn't feel like it.
But I have never felt so hopeless about the state of this country. And it's like, it's so extremely depressing because it really does feel like, what can we even do? Like, will my vote matter? Will, how bad are things going to get?
Right.
You know?
Because I keep thinking like something will happen. I'm like, oh, that's fucking terrible. Then something else will happen. I'm like, oh, that's fucking terrible. I'm like, how much worse can it get? How much worse? It seems like every single week there's some new thing. And now we're becoming almost numb to what is happening in this country, which is, I think, in a lot of ways, exactly what these giant politicians on both sides, by the way. Like, I'm not sitting over here sucking the DNC's dick by any means.
Definitely not.
I am so pissed
I'm very
off
disappointed
that they have Congress and the fucking White House right now, and what are they doing? Fucking nothing.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
like,
I think Democratic leadership is incredibly weak.
It is.
And that's another reason why I feel so hopeful is I don't know who to turn to. Hopeless. Thank you. I don't know who to turn to. I don't know who to look up to. I don't know who to like. I'm so disappointed with this country, and I hate even being like this. I just feel like it's so negative, but I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say either. And it's bothered me. It's pissing me off so much that I like refuse to just not say anything because I don't have the right thing to say.
Me too.
And, you know, coming on here, I think Kendall and I both agree that like right before we even started recording, we're like, okay, so how do we even do this? Like,
It's just
what
such
do we
a
even
massive.
I don't know
so
what to
upsetting.
say. I don't know what the answer is.
I don't either. I really don't.
It makes me so upset that these old ass people too. Like, what the fuck?
I know.
Something that was, I don't know.
These old ass men.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a fucking
to be
chicken
in
there.
such a low feels so weird. Like, I guess I was like kind of foolish I'm thinking back to 2015 on the day that gay marriage was mandated to be legal in the whole country. And just, I felt so hopeful.
Dude,
I felt like
same.
almost high on
I was
life.
I was
like
in
this-
San Francisco when it happened.
I was in Florida and it was
I was
sunny.
like,
and,
let's fucking go. Like
Yeah.
it was like, God, America's finally like going somewhere and we're really getting places and
progress.
we're only going up from here.
Progress.
And we got this. And
Yep.
then I feel like in the last so many years, it's just like,
Yep. And the fact that we're even discussing that is going to be up for debate
yeah.
is wrong. It's just like, wow. I just really never thought we would get here.
It's so upsetting. And I like I said, sometimes I like have no hope, which I guess then I'm like, well, that's exactly what they want. Like
Yeah,
they want us
I
to
don't
feel
wanna-
like, oh wow,
right.
like become numb, and
Right.
then because then again,
we can't stop fighting. We
No.
can't, because then it's going to get worse. And I'm not saying there is no hope. I'm just expressing my own feelings right now and emotion that I just feel hopeless.
and I think a lot of people would agree with that.
yeah, like I feel like we've been beaten down for the last few years, and it's devastating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially this younger generation, like millennials and Gen Z. You know, in our lifetime, like just you and I. Let's see, we've been through 9/11. We've been through the 2008 crash. We've been through a pandemic. Global warming's out the ass. Gun violence is fucking out of control. I mean, it's just like one thing after another, after another, after another. And I was talking to my dad. He's like, God, the world was not like this when I was a kid. I'm like, yeah, it's fucked up. Like, what more is there to come?
It's so depressing.
Luckily, I will say one thing that I think is really empowering is the fact that because of social media and the internet in general, people are becoming much more aware and much more passionate about these types of issues at a younger age. Like when I was in high school, like no one really knew anything about what the fuck was going on. But now I feel like, you know, even young kids are out there like, this is bullshit. We're not going to stand for this. So, but it's sad to be like, oh, well, you're the generation that, you know, we have hope for you. It's your responsibility to clean up this fucking
put it all
dumpster
on
fire
them.
that we have going on.
Yeah, but it's true. They're like our only hope. Are these upcoming generations?
We gathered a bunch of stories here that were posted all throughout the internet of people who have had an abortion, have benefited from pro-choice or just being able to have a choice in some way or another. And we thought that they were really empowering, and we kind of wanted to share some of those stories.
Yes.
Just to give you examples of like how, first off, it's really none of your business why someone chooses to do something with their body. Like, it doesn't fucking matter why or how. But it's just very interesting to hear how there's so many different circumstances in which a person would choose to have an abortion. So, do you want to add anything else on your personal thoughts?
I can't wrap my mind around how making this decision benefits anyone, or it's wrong. The answer is it's wrong. I don't have a lot of words because I honestly get lost in the idea of what women will have to face, and that they have such a large opinion on it when people probably have no idea what the actual, like, this procedure, what the people are going through. Like, there's just no,
They're ignorant to it.
they don't even, it's like they don't care at all about what actually, like, if it's like it's easy or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Like
not
making
for
the
them.
decision to have an abortion is easy.
Right.
Yeah. it's so black and white.
Yeah.
It's not.
No, I mean, it's truly just, like you said, pure ignorance. And what gets me is like, I feel that it is so strange to want to control what other humans are doing
It's the
with their
weirdest thing.
time on earth. Isn't that the point of life, is to go through and make your own decisions and learn and experience on your own?
And that's the thing is people are like, I'm pro-choice, but in really, like, I'm also pro-life for you. I'm pro-choice in the sense that if you don't want to have an abortion and that you would never do that, fine. That's great for you. I don't care. Have 10 million kids if you want.
I fully support your choice to do that.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
So it's like, I just don't get how you could be so wrapped up in what other people are doing with their own bodies and that you think it's so black and white, and how it's not. It's not black and white.
No. And it's like Sydney was saying, it is such a complicated and difficult decision.
Right.
That should just be between you
And your
a
doctor.
and no one else.
Right.
And anyone who thinks that it's their responsibility to tell you how to live your life or to force birth is just, it's so beyond mind-blowing to think that anyone really thinks that that type of control is okay. And I know the comments we're already going to get. I know there's going to be people that are like, okay, so are you my body, my choice when it comes to the vaccine? And yes, I am. And I always have been. I've always been anti-mandate. I think that's also
Same.
a decision that
However,
you can make.
I will say the fucking pandemic is contagious and can kill other people because you have it. Abortions are not contagious, and neither are pregnancies. So, but
and as much as I agree with that, and
I'm still not pro-mandate.
Right.
No.
People are going to make their decisions.
Yeah.
And that's I believe, your right to make those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand wanting to control everyone else, especially in the name of religion. That's what I really cannot understand. How we're possibly, it feels like we are in a Christian country now.
Which, isn't that interesting? Is it wasn't the whole point of the U.S. to get away from Europe trying to control us and what we're doing? Wasn't that the whole point of, a melting pot? Isn't that what America is?
Yep.
Isn't that what we're taught in schools too? Like, I go back to like elementary school, right? And your teacher and whatever, kindergarten, first grade, you were told not to force people to do things. And then you also have your own voice to make your own decisions.
Yeah.
And isn't that what we, people teach? And you want everyone to be able to make their own decisions. But now all of a sudden, you don't even have any decision to make.
Right. And whatever you feel when it comes to abortion and your opinion on when life starts and whether or not you agree with science, that is your personal opinion. Why does anyone feel like they can force their own beliefs and opinions on the rest of a whole fucking country? Just because you believe it does not mean it is true. Period. That's it.
Anna Kasparian, I think is how you say her last name. She's one of the Young Turks commentators.
Yeah.
She, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen this clip, but it was so inspiring. One of the things that she was talking about was like, I don't believe in the Bible, but I will continue to fight for your right to believe in the Bible because that's what America is about. And I believe that wholeheartedly. You should have the right to use that, whether it's the Bible or any other type of religious text. You have the right to live by that and make that your highest priority. However, you do not have the right to make other people abide by that when they don't believe in it.
And that is so baffling that like these adult people don't understand that simple simple sentence.
Simple sentence.
Yes. Like, I mean, yeah.
Perfectly said.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and read some stories online that we found of people who have had an abortion for various reasons. And actually, a handful of these will be people that are public figures online that you probably, I'm assuming a lot of you at least, have heard of or know about, or maybe even watch their content or listen to their podcasts.
Yeah, especially if you are involved in like the true crime space.
Yeah. Okay, but first off, these are a few from Instagram here. It says, I have O negative blood type, which means when you become pregnant with a man whose blood type is incompatible with your own, your antibodies can cross the placenta and attack your baby's blood. This makes miscarriage extremely likely. I was previously pregnant and had a miscarriage. I lost over half of my blood and kept bleeding until I had a D&C done. Since a D&C wasn't done at first sign of miscarriage, I ended up getting an infection because my body was not shedding the embryo. After I found out I was pregnant for the second time, I decided I didn't want to go through that again, and I wasn't particularly interested in even being a mother. Boom. And there's not a whole lot to discuss with these stories, so we're kind of just going to go through them, if you will. Another one says, I had an abortion during medical school. It saved my career. It saved my relationship. It saved my life. No regrets. I now practice as a resident for internal medicine. This one says, I got pregnant at 12 years old by a family member. My family wanted to keep it a secret, so I was sent to Mexico alone to have an abortion because the closest clinic within the U.S. was 5 hours away. I returned to the U.S. within a few days and ended up in the hospital with severe infection. I was told I may never be able to get pregnant again. And this is just the importance of having access to safe abortions.
Yeah, that is one point we didn't make earlier. this is not going to stop
No.
abortions. Absolutely not.
Mm-mm.
People will still have abortions. The only thing that's changed now is they'll be unsafe and women will die.
Right. And now, if your argument is, oh, well, the fetus is dying, well, now so is the mom. So that's 2 lives lost if you want to count it like that.
So I also wanted to share an example that comes from Julie Murray, who is Maura Murray's sister. And she's amazing. We'll link her social media below. She's very active on TikTok, especially. But I thought it was very brave of her to share her story. And Janelle's going to read because I don't have much breath.
You have out of
left these
breath.
days.
Yeah.
My lungs are super squished.
Okay. So she says, in 2014, I learned I was pregnant. I never realized just how much I wanted a child until that very moment. 2 months later, I found myself in the ER suffering from extensive bleeding. I was diagnosed with a rare condition called molar pregnancy. Essentially, this is where cells duplicate chromosomes without complete sets of DNA. I needed immediate surgery, a D&C, as my HCG levels continued to rise. To add to the trauma, for the next 6 months, I underwent weekly methotrexate treatments in a cancer ward to eliminate the growth of replicating cells. It was a very dark time in my life. I share because I'm deeply saddened that someone else may experience that same type of pregnancy and may not be offered the proper medical care for survival. A pregnancy that appears normal for a couple of months but was non-viable from the start. I did not choose this. I have so many emotions swirling around given the recent Supreme Court ruling. I wanted to share my story in case it helps one person realize that is so much bigger than what it appears. Mm-hmm. And then she actually quotes RBG saying, I ask no favor for my sex. All I ask is for our brethren is that they take their feet off our necks. So for those of you who are not familiar with the D&C, I thought it'd be interesting to make a few notes about this so you guys are not confused. So basically a speculum, which is the things that we use to get pap smears and like cervical screenings, all that kind of stuff. Anyways, it's used to dilate the lower part of the uterus. And then they use a suction device to remove uterine tissue. So if you hear that throughout these people's stories, that's what it is.
So oftentimes if you have a miscarriage and you're a certain, length into the pregnancy, then they have to do this surgery to remove the tissue that your body cannot expel on its own.
Which is why this is so important, because when people do have miscarriages, a lot of times, like Kendall said, your body will not get rid of this tissue on its own. And so then there's dead tissue inside of you that leads to infection, which leads to death.
Extremely dangerous.
Which is why abortions are so, so critical for saving lives.
Yeah, with that, let's read Marlene Estelle's story, who is a YouTuber she was like queen of makeup for so long. I know she's not as active on her YouTube channel anymore. Makeup Geek, many of you could know her as. She's really amazing and has been very vocal about all of this and has shared her story. She went through quite a bit in the past couple of years.
Yeah. So she shared a few weeks ago, I had a miscarriage in Washington State in 2018 and could not naturally miscarry, so needed a D&C, aka an abortion. This was necessary to have before going septic. So that's another thing that can happen. You become extremely ill if you don't get this in a proper amount of time. So after finding out I lost a baby, I went 2 days later and had a safe D&C done in a hospital with my OB. 2 years later, I had a miracle baby girl. Fast forward to 2021, after moving to Texas, I had another miscarriage and was told I could not get a D&C. I had to prove multiple times that I did indeed miscarry, was treated like garbage for even miscarrying, and during my time of grief, I had to fight to even get a life-saving procedure before going septic. I waited 2 weeks carrying a dead fetus inside me before getting to an abortion clinic to do my D&C, since the doctors in Texas refused to give me one.
Terrible.
If I went septic, I would have died, leaving my 2-year-old without a mom. So anyone claiming yesterday was a victory can fuck right off my timeline. True that. My daughter and many others deserve to have their healthy moms around because they were allowed to choose to make decisions best for them. Amen to that.
And that's the reality of this. That's how serious this is and how many women will suffer or possibly lose their lives, and there'll be people that say, well, they can just go to a different state. Okay, well, that's ridiculous. Yes, they can.
Some can, but some can't.
Yeah.
Some can't afford to go to a different state.
Don't have the resources.
Some can't afford to take work off or to get childcare for their kids that they already have.
Or it's such a dire situation that they could lose their life before they even can get to another state. Like,
Correct.
This is an incredibly serious thing. And one thing I also wanted to bring up is that I know there will be comments that say, what the fuck are you four so upset about? You live in Colorado. Okay.
It's this
Really?
weird thing.
Really?
Caring about other people besides yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
imagine that.
I know that I am lucky enough that even if there's a nationwide abortion ban in America, I know that I'm lucky enough that I have the resources that I could fly to a different country to get an abortion. But that is not the reality for millions of people in this country. So to say like, oh, doesn't affect me, so I don't give a fuck. That's how terrible things happen. So what, you just don't give a fuck when gay rights are taken away because you're not gay? You don't give a fuck about slavery, for instance, because you're not black? Like, what the fuck?
The sad thing, Janelle, is that that's the reality for a lot of people, is they don't care about other people.
Blows my... Literally, how could you have that thought process?
Very sad.
Doesn't
but
affect
it's
me.
Very
Who gives
common.
a fuck?
Yep.
Disgusting.
Anyway.
Okay.
Let's also read a story coming from Sarah Turney.
Yeah.
Alyssa Turney's sister. We've known Sarah a long time now and have worked with her on content. She's an amazing voice in the true crime space. So
I have so much respect for her.
Me too.
Okay, so Sarah says, I never wanted to tell this story, but I had to have a medical abortion to save my life. My baby wasn't going to live. It was one of the hardest days in my life. Now I can go to prison for longer than my father, a domestic terrorist, did if this happens again, or just die. And then she also follows up and says, I worked in baby stores with kids in foster care. I spoke with breastfeeding experts, with doulas. I wanted that baby more than anything. I support anyone's reason to have an abortion, but I think a lot of people don't realize people like me exist. Now I'm terrified to try again. Yeah. And that's another great point. Like, let's say you want a kid. So you try, you get pregnant, and then something goes terribly wrong. You have to have an abortion to save your life. That means that you could get pregnant again and it could be fine. Or you could get pregnant again and you could have the same thing happen to you. And now what? You don't have the rights to be able to save your own life. So it's like this gamble of like, well, do I try again and risk dying, or do I just never have a kid because I'm too scared that something's going to go wrong?
There's a lot of people questioning that, you know, having these conversations with their partners or just thinking about on their own that this is the reality they're facing, and that going into trying to have a baby is different than it ever has been. I mean, at least in the last 50 years.
Yep. Okay, this one is from Instagram, just someone by the name Chloe. And this is very, very sad, as all these stories are, but this one in particular can be a little bit triggering. But I think it's really important to share. So she says, I am currently 25 weeks pregnant with a baby girl. She is incompatible with life. I found out at 23 weeks that she wasn't going to make it. I knew then what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to terminate. My baby is suffering inside of me, having seizures multiple times a day.
Oh, that's so horrible because you could literally feel that.
She says, I feel every single one. I knew I didn't want her to suffer any longer, so I let my doctor know of my choice, and he said he would schedule an induction for me. Well, Friday came along and the overturn of Roe v. Wade happened. I thought I would be okay. I thought the law wouldn't go into effect for a while. Sadly, that's not the case. I now have no choice. My doctor called me today and told me I have to remain pregnant until the baby dies inside of me or dies when she's born. What kind of sick country do we live in when we force a mom to feel her baby suffer every single day until her baby dies? It's not fair. I never thought this would happen. Now I'm completely lost and torn and confused. If you're celebrating the overturning of Roe v. Wade, then go fuck yourself. I hope you never have to go through this. This is not a time to be happy. We should all be grieving the loss of women's rights.
It's unbelievable to think that that is the reality that some people are facing. And there's so many different conditions where women know what they have to do. And it's a difficult, horrible decision that I can't even wrap my mind around having to be in that situation. I just really can't. And then on top of it, having to just carry all the way to term, you know,
people coming up to the grocery store, oh, what do you do?
Yeah.
And you know that there's something dead inside of you and you can't do anything about it.
Or will not survive. Some babies develop without a brain. And in that case, not only are you being forced to give birth, but you're also being forced to have a C-section because you cannot physically give birth because there's not enough weight to actually push out a baby. So I can't imagine that the amount of trauma that you would experience having to go through that every single day, experience that, or to feel something like seizures and knowing you can't do anything. It's horrific. And like she said, she was, going on her way, or I've heard stories of people who are literally on their way driving to abortion clinics, and providers had to call them and tell them to turn around. And then they're just stuck. Like states with trigger bans, it was like that.
Yep. Instant.
It's like they don't even have time to process or figure out what they're going to do. And it's like already such a traumatic situation. And then having to make different arrangement, or just, in her case, just wait. I mean, that is
disgusting.
That is inhumane. Like, that is completely
so
inhumane.
inhumane.
Yeah, it's torturous. Yeah.
You wouldn't make an animal do that.
Beyond barbaric.
If there was a dog who was pregnant, and the fetus was gonna die inside of the dog, like you wouldn't be like, too bad, or already was. Like you would do the surgery. It's a medical procedure. It's a life-saving procedure. So not only is she, like Kendall said, having to walk around with a fetus inside of her that's dead or is going to die the second it's born, but also has to walk around knowing that she could possibly get sick.
Yep.
The mom.
The fear. And for what?
Right. For what?
I don't fucking get it. I do not understand. Like, no argument you ever make to me will ever make this make sense to me. I don't get it.
The main thing for pro-lifers is you are so pro-life, but as soon as like that baby's out, you don't give a shit about it. If the mom dies while she's getting pregnant, that's 2 lives that just died. So where are your concerns in that? It's just I
don't even call it pro-life. To me, it's pro-forced birth. It's just, it doesn't make sense.
How about someone who is extremely mentally ill and gets pregnant and is giving birth and then ends their own life?
Yep.
Are you pro-life then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just simply doesn't want to have a kid. That is just enough of a good reason to not go through with it, because you don't fucking want to be pregnant. This is your body. You should be able to do whatever the fuck you want with it while you're on this earth.
I don't understand the amount of Republican leadership that literally voted against funding for fucking formula.
Right.
That are pro-life.
Right.
Shut the fuck up.
We don't have fucking formula to feed the babies. So why are they controlling this? We have schools so backwards.
Entire classrooms full of children being murdered in this country, and we are not doing anything about it. So take your pro-life and shove it up your ass.
So on that note, I think we're going to end it there.
Yeah. My blood pressure is getting really high.
Yeah.
I'm getting very angry. This is just...
I know this episode was like kind of all over the place, but honestly, like I feel like us 4 just really needed the opportunity to word vomit for an hour.
Yeah.
And
I think everyone's feeling kind of all over the place.
Exactly.
It's like just unbelievable. We're in 2022. I don't understand how this is happening.
I know.
It's devastating.
So if you want to do something about it, go and purchase one of those shirts. And that will go right towards people
100%
who need help making sure they can afford and access abortion anywhere they live.
And to all of you out there who are protesting, having difficult conversations with family members, and educating yourself, maybe you didn't know that much about Roe versus Wade, all of you that are doing anything, even if it's not monetary. I know a lot of people are struggling financially, don't feel pressured to purchase this shirt.
Totally.
There's so many other ways to help, and we just want to say we're proud of you.
Yeah.
We stand with you, and we won't stop fighting.
Nope. No, sometimes I literally just want to like give up. Then I'm like,
we can't.
No, we literally can't. Absolutely not. I have to fight for my little niece here.
I know.
And all the other little kids and just people in general that deserve fucking human rights. And we'll keep doing it.
Yep.
Like, you think you really pissed off the wrong generation, though. I'll tell you that. Because you think millennials are fucking crazy. Gen Z is not fucking around.
No.
So good luck, old ass politicians.
Amen.
Anyways, that's it. We're going to sign off here.
Yeah. We promise we'll be back next week with something fun. Because I know you guys need the laughs. I know, especially in this time, people want to have fun and come to podcasts for entertainment and relief from this fucked up world. But
and we do have something
we needed to do
fun
that.
planned next week.
Yeah, we do. We're gonna do something fun.
So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for sticking through this and hanging out with us. We know this was a really difficult topic, but we appreciate you guys understanding that these difficult situations call for difficult conversations.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's it.
Make you uncomfortable, might make you hate us. But, it's more important to us that we speak our truths.
This is who we are. So if you don't agree, then it's probably not the cup of tea for you. Anyways, that's it for this week. Thanks so much for hanging out, and we'll see you on the next sesh. But until then, keep it fresh.